week on Today. We're answering your Turkey Day question on Today. On Thursday night, Thanksgiving football returns to Green Bay, the NFL's most unlikely treasure.
Back at Lambeau Field.
No franchise has sunk deeper footprints into NFL mythology. Their home is a cold, flat outpost on a basin of Lake Michigan, the smallest pro sports city in North America by a wide margin. They are named for a meat processing company that bought their first uniforms. None of it makes sense until you visit, until you stand in the yard of a mid-century ranch home with a giant stadium just a few blocks away, until you drive past the house on Sunset Circle, where the legendary coach would host post-game parties in his basement rec room, until you put boots on the ground and understand the history, because the NFL is full of home cities, but there is only one Green Bay.
Lambeau, it is majestic, and on Thanksgiving night, you will be hearing the majestic voice of Jason Garrett and Mike Tirico calling the game against the Dolphins.
How good was that right there?
I mean, it was great.
It was really
it's great the way the Packers have been playing as of late. What do you expect to see on Thanksgiving?
They've been playing an old-school style of football. Lombardi would be proud of this.
Slow down a surging Miami team that's won 3 straight.
Yeah, Tua's playing like Magic Johnson. We talked about this. He's seeing the field. He's delivering strikes. They're making a lot of plays. He talked about it after the game, though. We got to break some narratives. Can this South Florida team, greatest show on grass, can they go up to Lambeau Field and win on Thanksgiving night? I don't know if they can do it. It'll be interesting to watch.
But it's great that he's already thinking about it, though.
Yeah.
He wants to end that narrative. All right, if the Packers beat the Dolphins, though, on Thanksgiving...
The tradition of Thanksgiving and football, some things just go together greatly. Green Bay always will be and always has been my favorite place to come for football. Every time I come here, I get the same feeling that, you know, enjoy it now because you're in a very special place.
Special place, and we can't wait to be there. And that is the original Madden Cruiser, which is going to join us at Lambeau Field on Thanksgiving night with the Dolphins and the Packers right here on NBC.
All right, you know what Saquon doesn't have? This drop right here.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Goes for 317, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Nobody that plays this position is making more of a difference to what his team is not without him. We have seen it this year. They could have won at Buffalo. They got beat at the gun on a 60-yarder. They lost on a walk-off. Arizona beat him at the gun as well. Other than that, they've won 3 games. That winning streak started right here, and they're in the mix in the playoffs, and that guy's balling out.
I can be honest.
Yeah.
Right here. Tua Tagovailoa.
I can't see them doing that.
Can I get to Miami, guys?
Yeah.
And them keeping hope alive?
Let's do
So,
it.
obviously, winners of 3 straight. Do you feel like, Mad Dog, they could salvage their season if they go out
Yes.
and beat Green Bay tomorrow?
Well, let's do the math here first, Mal. You
Okay.
got Denver at 7-5, and you got the Chargers at 7-4. Those and Baltimore,
Okay.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So those are they're gonna catch the Broncos or the Chargers, and they play against each other.
That's right.
So, but they got easy schedules, those 2 teams. So the Dolphins are gonna have to get to 10 wins.
Okay.
They're 5-6. They have the Jets twice. They play at Houston. They have a wounded San Francisco team coming to Miami. Not impossible. But for me to believe in them, they got to win tomorrow night.
That's right.
And that's why this game tomorrow night, Stevie and Jeff, there's the schedule.
Yeah.
Texans have been bad. The Browns they should be able to beat maybe. But this is interesting about tomorrow night. First off, Tua 0-7 when it's 40 degrees below.
Ooh.
It's 23 degrees tomorrow night in Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2, it's a short work week. I heard Joe Fontenot on radio today. Teams on Thanksgiving at home are 13-4.
Yes.
That's hard to win a road game on
Yep.
Thanksgiving, and Miami to Green Bay is not an hour flight.
Well, that's right.
That's a long way. So if they win tomorrow, Stevie, I'll say, hey,
Right.
you know what? Miami's in play. I'm going to have to see it first, Jeff, Steve,
Agreed.
before I
That's
think the
fair
Dolphins
for a
can
multitude of reasons.
yeah.
It's a
Couple
good
of
litmus
things.
test.
Right.
Couple of things. I'm gonna tell you this right now. After that, they could win the next 5 games, still end up with 10 wins on the season, even
They could, I
with a
guess.
loss
I
tomorrow
could.
night. But having said that, let me say this: I have long dogged the Miami Dolphins. I don't even look at their talent most of the time because I know they can't play in inclement weather. I mean, there's something that happens to you when you get to the South Beach, whether you get softened up. I mean, it's like putting lotion and lather in your body and all of this other stuff and just relaxing in the sunshine. I think that's what they do. And I think that when you go into cold conditions, they just seem to be a shell of themselves. And I expect nothing different come Thursday night. But I will say this. If you end up going up, if you're the Miami Dolphins and you win that game, it's going to say a lot to me about you because of what I just finished saying about Green Bay. But I got to tell you, they need to win these other games, and they need to win a game in inclement weather for us to take them seriously. If you can't win a game in 40-degree weather or below, I'm not taking you serious.
Right.
I'm just not.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and I think it for this reason. You think about whether you got to go to Baltimore, whether you got to go to Pittsburgh, whether you got to go to Buffalo. Everywhere you're going in AFC, you're going to go somewhere cold, right? So you're going to have to show.
Kansas City was 4 degrees.
Kansas City, the Texans would be the only place that you could slide in for a warm weather game or whatever. But when you think about the Miami Dolphins, tomorrow's game to me is a physicality test. Can you line up against a Green Bay Packer team that you just, or whoever just read off their stats of where they are offensively? They can run the ball, they can throw the ball, they want to be physical on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They don't want it ain't gonna be a pat and go. This is gonna be, I'm gonna hit you all day in cold weather. That to me is what's gonna show for the Miami Dolphins. Because to get on these runs, they've won 3 in a row, you gotta put some more together, right? 3 fairly easy ones. Now it's a real time. Now we're getting to playoff teams on the road. These are the ones. Because you get into the cupcakes, right? You get into your own division.
Tomorrow's big, Alex. You're headed out,
they can win the final
right? Today?
These games are what mark you as a
Enjoy it like crazy, Alex. So glad you're there.
Going into their house under 40 degrees, go get a win. Now you put yourself in a true conversation.
Well, they've heard it all week now. Our ASQ is the player. They can't win in cold weather, can't beat a good team,
That's
short
right.
work week on the road. You'd think that might help them.
Yes.
Not shut everybody up. Is that a factor here, Morning?
100%. Every conversation that McDaniel has had with this team has started with, it's us versus the world. No one believes in us except the guys in this room. The 53 and this staff, everybody else picks against us. Nobody thinks we can do it. Let's go shock the world. That's his rallying cry.
Well, most teams say that, number one, so I'm not going to give them a cookie for that. Number two, I will say this. They've gotten into the short and intermediate passing game to get the ball out of Tua Tagovailoa's hands, quicker. And that has worked to their advantage, and props to them for doing so. But teams are figuring that out because they know, how fragile he can be because of all of those damn concussions that he's suffered from and what we fear he will suffer from, okay? And by the way, the colder the weather is, the harder that turf is. So all of a sudden, you know that better than any of us, Jeff.
Yeah.
Here today,
No doubt.
the fact
No
is,
doubt.
you hit that ground, it's gonna be a little harder. And so I take all of that into consideration as I'm watching. Tomorrow's game is so important. What did you say the weather conditions was going to be, Doggy?
29.
What's the weather conditions supposed to be?
23.
Oh my God!
And feels like 15. Feels like 15.
If the Dolphins win that game tomorrow night, forget the record. It's going to say a lot to us about what they're capable of if you perform in that way.
Yes.
It really comes down.
Fins up, baby. I can't wait. I'll be watching right here the day before I get married. Come on. In the name of Zach Thomas, let's get her done, boys. Throwback unis tomorrow night. Here it comes tonight. Alex in Green Bay, Lambeau Field. Oh, my goodness. Thanksgiving night. Could you ask for any better? I don't think so. Wow. Very excited.